Okay, sorry about that. Okay, thank you all. This is a call for emergency preparedness, folks, in home care and hospice across Louisiana and Mississippi. I appreciate you. Oh, we got the wrong slides up. I'm sorry. Where are we? We're having all sorts of complications today, aren't we? Can everyone see March 12th, 2025? Yes, I think so. Okay. I want to wish everyone a happy St. Patty's Day and St. Joseph Day here in South Louisiana.
Hey,
So always a
Jamie,
big, yes, ma'am.
your hospice and corrections with FMOL, that slide presentation is what's
Uh,
open. Okay.
okay, let me try it again.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Is this better?
Yes, there we go.
St.
Thank
Patrick's and
you.
St. Joseph save us today. Okay, so we're going to be talking about emergency preparedness in this part of the world. I want to remind everyone that we record our sessions, and all of those sessions are posted on our website up at lmhpco.org under emergency preparedness. You have lots of video choices there that you can use for in-services with your particular agencies. I do want to remind everyone that the Louisiana Department of Health has issued a toll-free number. They've given us information about bird flu and also issued numbers. If you see large groupings of birds, flocks of birds that are dead in your neighborhood, they are asking you to contact them at this number, either with the Forestry Department or at the USDA. Excuse me while we mute her. Um, Also, there is an active shooter preparedness webinar that's going to be taking place tomorrow. Registration still available if you want to participate in that webinar. And Region 9, which is the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain in South Louisiana, they are having a health coalition meeting on March 25th at 1 o'clock at North Oaks Hospital. If you have any questions, you can contact your coalition leader, Keith Peak, there. But if you are in Region 9, I highly I encourage you to attend this meeting and get to know the folks who are leading your particular region. Also, there is a cyber ready community event happening in Schriever, Louisiana on the March 27th. You have to register for that as well. You can use that QR code. I will be putting all of these slides will be in a PDF that we will be posting in next Wednesday's calendar invite. So you'll have all of these. As always, we send out reports of all of our at-risk patients to emergency managers across Louisiana and Mississippi every Friday morning. Your cooperation is greatly needed in terms of updating those patients every Thursday in order to make sure that we're sending accurate records to the emergency managers. And as we do each week, we look at our wall of shame for those hospices and home health agencies that failed to do the update last Thursday. And as a consequence, their patients did not appear on last week's reports. There were 809 hospice patients in Louisiana that missed last week's report. These are the 45 agencies that failed to do the update last week. If you see your name on this wall of shame, or if you see one of your branches listed here, please contact them and ask them to get in touch with me so that we can get this corrected. In terms of Mississippi hospices, there were 7 agencies that failed to update 46 patients last week. And in terms of home health, we had 59 home health agencies that failed to update some 470 home health patients last week. Any questions with regards to the updates or the at-risk registry? Okay, I want to remind everyone we have on our website, we have a lot of resources for emergency preparedness that are available to you, and also lots of resources for your patients and families as well. Today, we have with us representatives from T-Mobile who will be talking about their product called Priority. And so I am going to relinquish control of this Zoom call and allow Mr. Hassan, are you going to be running this one? Are you going to be running? Yes. Okay. And
So,
I'm going to let you all introduce yourselves from T-Mobile and tell us about this product, this Priority product for first responders and healthcare workers.
sure thing. Mike, you want to kick it off for us?
Sure, yeah. Glad to be here. Thank y'all so much for inviting us today. My name is Mike Torito with T-Mobile for Business. I'm on the enterprise team. I'm here in Louisiana. I'm actually in Baton Rouge. Just want to kind of introduce myself as a point of contact for anything T-Mobile related if you need to. Even if even if it's just a question, or if you need me to find out some information for you, be glad to help you out. I did want to, before I introduce everyone, we have Syed and Keith and Aditya on the call. Keith is going to be presenting to you, giving you a good overview of what T-Priority is. And Syed and Aditya both are solutions engineers that kind of give you more of the technical side of everything that's going on with what we're doing there. The one thing I did want to kind of give everybody an overview of real fast before we start is, I'm not sure what everybody knows about T-Mobile and what we've done, but we've made some massive investments here in the state of Louisiana alone, where we've put $290 million into our infrastructure, which means about 300 new cell sites throughout the state. We've upgraded over 2,000 existing sites, and with the addition of Auction 108, which is a spectrum that we acquired last year, we are now covering 92% of the residents here in the state of Louisiana, along with our 5G network. So just to kind of give you a quick overview, I'm not sure if everybody's seen what we have done, but those are some of just the improvements that we've made here in Louisiana alone. With that being said, I just want to kind of introduce myself and also go ahead and introduce Keith, who is our industry expert, who has over 27 years of experience being a first responder and in law enforcement. So please, Keith, if you can.
Sure. So yeah, my name is Keith Williams. I'm the industry segment advisor for public safety for T-Mobile for Government for the Central region. And my counterpart, Amy Sennett, is the Southern region industry segment advisor. We have 5 industry segment advisors. All of us are former command officers, chiefs of police, or first responders with various agencies throughout the country. And I've been with T-Mobile for a little bit over 2 years. Prior to that, I was a commander with the Detroit Police Department. I did almost 27 years there. I had the opportunity to attend the FBI National Academy with my boss, and that's how I ended up with this job. So very appreciative of your time today. So you may or may not have heard last month that T-Mobile made the huge announcement introducing T-Priority. And what this really came about by T-Mobile really paying attention to our customers, but also listening to our core team of first responders. What T-Mobile did last year was they hired an additional 45 former first responders, emergency managers to the T-Mobile team. And so all of those individuals came from leadership positions. Again, I did almost 27 years with the Detroit Police Department. I was in command of one of the busiest precincts in the city. So I was in charge of patrol investigations, training, and various other entities within the police department. And so what T-Mobile essentially asked all of us was, what do first responders need? And what we said was, look, we need for the communications to work during critical incidents. We need it to be fast so that the information that we are receiving is accurate and updated information, because essentially we'll end up putting that information out to the public. We also wanted to make sure that first responders and those like yourselves who are responsible for critical enterprise and critical infrastructure have the coverage necessary during those critical incidents, but also have the capacity to support multiple agencies and technology during those times of network congestion. The great thing about T-Mobile is they listen to the needs of the customers. And that team of first responders that I mentioned and created what's called T-Priority. And this is, really to assist, again, first responders and those that's responsible for critical enterprise and critical infrastructure for many years to come. What's included in T-Priority is the world's first network slice, and we'll talk about that on a 5G standalone core, as well as the best-in-class partners. We have partnerships with Motorola. We have partnerships with Skydio, drone company. But not just that, we have a dedicated team of first responders and the emergency response team and wireless priority service. So those are the critical components to T-Priority. And you can go to the next slide. We already at the next slide. You go back. You go back just one. Okay. And so about 5.5 years ago, T-Mobile merged with Sprint. And in doing so, we acquired a large amount of spectrum. And obviously, our competitors did not want that merger to happen. And so there was a promise that T-Mobile had to make to the federal government. And one of those promises was a commitment to first responders. And so what T-Mobile did was created a program called Connecting Heroes. And Connecting Heroes was a 10-year, $7.7 billion commitment for first responder agencies, really to be able to supplement the costs to acquire additional technology. And what T-Priority did is we expanded on that commitment with the network slice to ensure continuity, not just for first responders, but again, critical enterprise and critical infrastructure as well. Again, during those critical incidents, we recognize how important it is, to have that connectivity, whether it's managing your fleet or utilizing, smart safety solutions, or getting patients to where they need, receiving real-time alerts, or even drone technology that I mentioned earlier. We have to be able to coordinate that, and we recognize that, first responders are not just important, but the healthcare industry is just as important as well, to have that continuity and during those times of disaster. And you can go to the next slide. And so I talked about wireless priority service, and I'm sure most of you in the room, are you familiar with wireless priority service? And if you're not, what wireless priority service is, so all of the three carriers, you get priority service on that network, on that particular network. So you get on FirstNet, you get priority on their network. On Verizon, you get priority on that network. On T-Mobile, you get priority on our network as well. But what you may or may not know is that the only way that you can get priority across carriers is to have wireless priority services. And we have a person or a team. On my team is a person by the name of Stuart Campbell, who is the liaison between the Department of Homeland Security and T-Mobile for wireless priority service. And what he does is he ensures that every agency that is critical infrastructure and critical enterprise have that connection, have that wireless priority service so that you can get that priority and preemption access across carrier. With that partnership, one of the things that T-Mobile did was when we partnered with the Department of Homeland Security and Wireless Priority Service, we were able to garner or be able to access data, and we give that data priority as well, and we do it free of charge, as opposed to our competitors who charge a premium fee for that. So you can go to the next slide. And so these are some of the eligible agencies that qualify for T priority. Obviously, fire, law enforcement, emergency medical services, emergency management. But our extended primary agencies like oil, gas, healthcare, public health also qualifies for T priority as well. And again, that's that 5G standalone network. And you go to the next slide. And so, what critical users deserve ultimate and network performance. And with FirstNet, it was great. FirstNet and Verizon led for fourth generation technology. FirstNet came about during 9/11, and they bid for the FirstNet Authority, and they did a good job. It was needed at the time, but now, with so many agencies needing priority, we have that 5G standalone network to be able to have more capacity than fourth generation technology. And so, me coming from law enforcement, one of the things that was prominent when I first came on a job in 1996, we didn't even have cell phones in a vehicle, and a lot of information was coming in slow. And as law enforcement grew, now everybody is operating with their office being in a vehicle, and so routers, drones, license plate readers, body worn cameras, vehicle cameras, things of that nature. That fourth generation technology can no longer support the technology that's coming out today. So you need more capacity to be able to.
Hey, it's Karen. Hey, I was calling you because I was looking at your points earlier, and it looks like you are going to.
You need that you need more capacity to be able to support the technology that's coming out today with first responders. So that's where that 5G standalone core comes in. At it's more capacity than 4G, and it's faster speed. So, and why speed is so important? Getting that information out. Think of a first responder pulling a vehicle over. And getting information from 911 or dispatch via computer. That we want that information to come in as fast as possible. And that 15 seconds of lag time that may happen with that fourth generation technology can be the difference between life and death, depending on the situation. And so the 5G standalone core can support more capacity, faster speeds. And we cover about 98% of the United States with fifth generation technology. And we are at least 2 years ahead of our competitors as far as fifth generation technology is concerned. So you can go to the next slide. And this graph just shows, T-Mobile. I lost my screen. All right, I can see it now. This graph just shows our network, what it looks like at the top, on a normal day for first responders. and critical infrastructure. The bottom shows that during those times of extreme congestion, that T priority users get priority over most of the network, with our baseline throughput being 2 times faster than what was previously offered to first responders. You can go to the next slide. And so T-Mobile also has an emergency response team that operates 24/7, 365 days a year. And it's attached to our public safety team. And the reason that I think that's important is because we have those built-in relationships with agencies, and we're able to have important conversations about where their needs may be. And I'll give you an example of that. After not this year's Super Bowl, but last year's Super Bowl, when the Kansas City Chiefs won a Super Bowl, there was a parade, and there was an active shooter ended up at the parade. Because of the relationships that we had with that agency, we were able to have conversations about their needs on the spot, with boots on the ground from the command staff that was boots on the ground. And that's really unique to T-Mobile. As far as our first responder team, we have over 1,000 years collectively of first responder and emergency management experience on our team. That's really unique to T-Mobile again. But we not only support first responders, we also support, again, critical enterprise and critical infrastructure as well. Our coordinator, her name is Nicole Hutton. She has over 28 years of experience. She's been with the emergency response team since the days of Nextel and through the mergers of Sprint and T-Mobile. And what we did when we merged with Sprint, and when T-Mobile merged with Sprint, what we did was we combined those assets to really be able to support agencies, during those critical incidents. So you can go to the next slide. And so our team, our engineers, again, they've been together since the days of Nextel. You probably remember Nextel, and through the mergers of Sprint and T-Mobile. Our engineers who are responsible for deploying our assets, our deployable assets, they represent every branch of the military, and they've been in those environments where, those challenging environments. So they're used to being able to, coordinate those efforts on the ground. And they've been in those backgrounds. So they have that experience as well. You can go to the next slide. And so one of the things that we want to do more than anything is have those partnerships, have those relationships built in, so that you know exactly who it is that you need to communicate with. We do have the barnyard of deployable assets. We have the cows, the cell on wheels, the SAT coats, the tethered drones. But again, those partnerships are most important. On a blue sky day, what we really want to do is have those conversations with you, be involved in your tabletop exercises, pre-event, pre-hurricane, pre-tornado. Have those conversations, have those built relationships, so that when there is a gray sky day, you know exactly who to call. We know who to call, so that we can know, what it is that you need. One of the unique things about T-Mobile is that the modernization of our network, we're able to do some things before sending a deployable asset. I'll give you an example of that. You may or may not remember, I think it was a year and a half ago, in Allen, Texas, there was a mall shooting, and you had multiple agencies responding to that location. You also had the media responding to that location, as well as people that were stuck at the mall because their vehicles were stuck inside of the parking lot. And so you had a a large amount of people using data and using their phones, and it caused network congestion. One of the things that we can do because of the modernization, because we are the new kids on the block, and because of the modernization of our network, our engineers were able to remotely log into the cell sites that were in close proximity to that incident, and they were able to tilt the antennas to concentrate coverage into the area where the command post was set up for the emergency team that responded to that location. And we were able to do that within an hour's time. So those are some of the things that we can do prior to sending a deployable asset. Again, if you had an event that you were planning, our engineers can take a look at last year's statistics to see how our network was performing during that time, so that we can be better able to gauge what it is that you may need. So we want to be in your emergency operations centers. I was just there in Louisiana for the Super Bowl in the Emergency Operations Center there. But we've done the presidential inauguration, the Democratic and Republican national conventions. And we've been involved in Hurricane Milton and the fires in LA. And so, so our emergency response team, again, we want to be there to partner, obviously ask those questions. So if there is some challenges that we can meet those needs together. You go to the next slide. And so these are, the leaders on my team: Craig Martinez, Nicole Hutnett. Nicole Hutnett is the ESF2 point of contact for T-Mobile. And then that's our emergency hotline there. And that email address goes to our entire first responder team, as well as our emergency response team. And again, it's 24 hours a day that you can get us on that email. So somebody will always respond. Again, we're looking for partnerships. If there's an incident, actually, we're looking for partnerships pre-incident, so that we can have those built-in relationships. And I'll pause for any questions at this point.
Oh, we can open it up for questions from anyone. If you want to unmute yourself or put something in the chat, I can certainly, I'll certainly read it off if you feel better about putting it in a chat. I do have some questions. So we had a presentation on FirstNet, and one of the things that I learned during FirstNet is that the effective, we're talking about home health and hospice agencies, and in this particular conversation. And one of the things we learned was that in order for that to be an effective network, everyone has to be on FirstNet. Everyone. If you're calling someone, if you have FirstNet, you can reach people. You'll be able to reach people who are also on FirstNet. But if they're not on FirstNet, then the FirstNet is not all that. The priority is lost. I heard you talk about wireless carrier services, the WCS, that can go across the various networks. Is that correct?
Yeah.
With
So
5G?
yeah. So again, what FirstNet does is FirstNet offers priority only on their network.
On their network, right?
The only way that you can get priority. So what that means is, if you're calling a random person and there's network congestion, and you're calling a person, the only way that you're gonna get priority is on FirstNet network to another FirstNet FirstNet call person that you're calling. The problem is, you may call somebody with a T-Mobile device.
Yeah.
We don't know what devices that people are holding. The only way that FirstNet can get across carrier is to have wireless priority service as well.
Right.
That wireless priority service is from the Department of Homeland Security. It is imperative that you have it regardless of what carrier you have, because T-Mobile offers wireless priority service on our priority and preemption on our network as well, and so does Verizon. The only way you can get it across carrier is to have that wireless priority service, and that's through the Department of Homeland Security. The difference is we promote a wireless priority service, and we let every customer know that you should have it regardless of the carrier. And we also prioritize your data as well. And again, we don't charge anything for either one. And we're the only ones that don't charge a premium cost for data priority. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. I mean, that's a lot clearer than what I learned in the last presentation we had with FirstNet. So the wireless carrier service is something that you have to apply to Homeland Security. A hospice agency or a home health agency would have to contact Homeland Security and get that wireless carrier service privilege.
So you would if you were on FirstNet. What T-Mobile does that's different is we manage that process for you. So
Oh.
if you were a T-Mobile customer
Yeah.
and your critical enterprise, which is healthcare, we would offer so you will have a point of contact for your agency for wireless priority service. And what we do is we have a team and a liaison with the Department of Homeland Security to put that priority access on your devices. And then if there's anything that's new added to that account, our team automatically take care of it. So you don't have to call Homeland Security at all with
I
T-Mobile.
see. I see. Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
That's great to know. And anyone have any other questions for Mr. Williams? Okay. Okay, that's very let me ask you another question. In terms of cost, how do you all is it does a company an agency have to buy into this into the system, or do individuals buy into it? How does that work?
Are you referring to wireless priority service?
Yeah. In terms of your T priority service, I mean, can can a nurse in a that's working in a hospice get T priority, or does the hospice have to buy into that network? And then all of the employees are on. How does it work in terms of the application? Does the company make the application, or can the individual make the application for T priority service?
So it's both. So a company can get wireless priority service through one band where that band is that business account is prioritized.
Uh-huh.
But also an individual can get wireless priority service based off of what it is that they do. So we offer priority service on individual lines depending on what it is that you do, as well as business accounts as well. So it's both.
There's a monthly cost to this, I would imagine. Can you tell us what those charges are, what they look like?
For wireless priority services, again, there's no cost. T-Mobile takes up on that cost ourselves. So we don't charge anything for wireless priority services.
So if you're just a T-Mobile client subscriber, you can get T priority services at no charge, at no extra charge?
So there's two different things. There's T priority and there's wireless priority services. So
Please.
let me clear it up for you.
Okay.
Wireless priority services is through the Department of Homeland Security. That's the priority that I'm referring to when I talk about wireless priority services.
Okay.
That is free of charge if you would T-Mobile. And we also offer that on individual lines with T-Mobile as well, depending on what it is that you do. If you are a critical enterprise, first responder, etc., then we offer that wireless priority services, and that's free of charge.
Okay.
As far as the data is concerned, as far as wireless priority service and data, we offer that as well. That's on the business account. T priority is we offer that for first responders as well. That is on an individual line. And then there's some businesses or some critical enterprise organizations that also qualify for T priority as well. But those are two separate things. One is through the Department of Homeland Security, and the other is through T-Mobile.
The charge for I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would just say an important distinction is, right, WPS is a program that, you know, works on any network, right? And across the carriers, the different network technologies. T priority is very exclusive to T-Mobile, right? It's really only something that T-Mobile can offer, right, across the whole 5G network. And it is that 5G technology that Keith was talking about, right? And the way that T-Mobile has applied that in the network that allows us to do something really unique, right? Where we can like guarantee a level of service for an individual using in an entity that's using T priority all the way through the wireless network, which is unheard of before, right? Because the wireless network's always been kind of a best effort technology. And so while you're getting, you're getting priority, they could never really create a uniform experience to make sure that everyone's kind of getting a good experience on voice and on data. So T priority actually delivers on that. And so that's what makes it really, really unique versus, all the other offerings in the marketplace.
Again, what's the cost of T priority?
So T priority is an add-on. It depends, again, it depends on what agencies it is. So and I'll give you an example.
Healthcare provider.
For first
we're talking about
responders,
healthcare. We're talking about healthcare providers, home health and hospice.
Yeah. So healthcare provider would be extended priority, which is about $7.50 a month.
And that would be in addition to your T-Mobile account, correct? I mean, you pay your monthly rate, and then you would pay an additional $7 and you said
$7.50, yeah.
50 cents.
$7.50 a month. So it's just an additional
correct.
$7.50 to have the T priority added to your account. I see. Okay. That's helpful. Thank you. Okay. Were there any other questions? Is anyone on today's call using T priority? Or wireless carrier services? Anyone on today's call have any experience with either of these products?
Jamie, T priority is brand new, right? So, I mean, we really kind of went to market with that this year, right? So it's brand new.
Yeah, the first time I saw it was during the Super Bowl. During the Super Bowl, there was an ad, and that's how I knew that y'all were actually out there. We had just had FirstNet, and I said, "Oh, I didn't realize that we had another priority network." And today I'm learning that there are actually three priority networks. The big carriers all have a priority network. Verizon has its own as well.
And that's what I mean by really T-Mobile really pushing wireless priority services, because you should have it. Everybody on this call that's critical enterprise, you know, if your company is not telling you that you qualify for it and that you should have it, I think that's a problem because you should have it. Uh, you know, you never know when the network is going to be congested. Um, and if you have the access or the ability to have that priority, again, you guys are critical. You guys take care of people, you take care of the community. And you really should know about wireless priority services, and T-Mobile makes sure that you do, and make sure that you have what you need so that when you need it, you already have it. And so I think it's critical that any first responder, any critical enterprise, critical infrastructure have that wireless priority services. And again, we have the team and the relationship with Department of Homeland Security to make sure that you have it.
One other question I had when with the FirstNet, they made a big point of saying that they have now, if you get FirstNet, they now allow a family plan so that everyone in your family can also get on FirstNet. Is that something that T Priority allows as well, or are there family plans for for folks that get on this?
So I'm not sure exactly what FirstNet described to you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
but
wasn't sure either how they would,
yeah,
at first that,
so
but they say they now offer a family plan for everyone in the family can get onto their system. And it's like, well, I don't know how much of a priority it is if everybody's
That's
going to
right.
be on this system.
Yeah,
yeah, and
if everyone's a priority, no one's a priority, right? So
exactly.
Exactly.
So
That's what I was thinking, but
yeah, no, we have family plans for individual lines, but what we don't do is we don't prioritize. We only prioritize. So if you have your personal account and your family is on your personal account, we will only prioritize your line
Oh,
because
okay.
you're critical. And so we really, and that's why we have a team to really pay attention to, who it is that we are allowing priority and preemption on our
Exactly.
network,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
to ensure the integrity of it and to ensure those that really need that priority access and preemption, when a network is congested, that they actually have it, and not people just streaming or whatever the case may be. So we really pay attention to who it is that's getting that access. And I think that's important.
I do too, and that's why I was kind of shocked by that
Hey,
statement. But
Jamie.
yes, ma'am. Yeah, listen, yes.
I thought I remember them saying it was the gentleman that asked the question about the family plan.
Yeah.
I think what he was referring to is that in the past, he as a first responder had to have a separate billing from the family plan. And
I
so he
see.
missed out on the family plan
I
kind of
see.
bundle. And
I see.
I think it had more to do with the billing, as now they were able to put a priority individual into the family
I
plan. I
see.
don't know that all the family members actually had the priority network. I think it was just something to do with how they were able to now bill and allow him to be under a family plan.
Allison, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't remember the ins and outs of it, but I do remember it had something to do with the billing of it. He was, previously excluded from a family bundle type
Mhm.
thing.
Allison, you're in Region 2. Are you familiar with this new T priority option?
I'm not. So I'm excited. I appreciate you having them on today. And I'm glad I was able to listen in and get some information. This is excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm impressed with your priority setup as well. So I appreciate it. But does anyone else have any questions for the folks at T-Mobile related to T priority? Folks from T-Mobile, do you have any closing thoughts today?
so
I,
I would just add,
I really
I,
appreciate you being on today's call and sharing this information with us. We'll be in touch, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll leave you with a couple interesting facts. We're really leading the way with innovation. I know T-Mobile's been doing a lot of work to be the leader in the pack. One of those interesting things that we're doing is a partnership with Starlink, right? Which allows us to provide coverage beyond the reach of our terrestrial network, right? When you're not within the boundaries of traditional cell service, we're able to provide that critical communication, that line of communication that matters most when you need it, right? And interesting fact, like we were able to during Hurricane Milton send 120 emergency alerts, right, and distribute that to T-Mobile users, over satellite. And during the wildfires and the areas impacted in Los Angeles with the fires, there was over 500,000 messages that were sent over that
Right.
service, right, when we enabled that. So I just say that just so you
When
keep
you
in
say
mind
they
the
were
team.
sent, they were also received.
They were also
I mean, it's one
received,
thing,
right?
it's one
Yeah,
thing to send it, it's
Correct.
another thing
yeah,
to be able to receive that.
right, right. So you would send and receive
Yeah,
on on this satellite link if both are in that same scenario,
right,
right?
okay.
However, typically how that service works is you'll send to a satellite, and the satellite would then deliver it back to the T-Mobile network to distribute that message, right? And so yes, so those are some statistics that we have, around that service. Also brand new and emerging technology in the space, right? And just wanted to kind of point that out there to just kind of share, how T-Mobile is now the leader in the cellular space.
Well, I want to thank you first of all for your service in building this infrastructure for emergency situations and for the time that you've given us today. Is it possible for you to send me the slide deck so that I can make that available to the folks who are on today's call, but also folks that might be interested in getting, especially in contact with you all to talk about their particular agency participating in T priority?
Absolutely. You know what we'll do is we'll send some like companion materials over,
Thank you.
for the group to kind
Yeah.
of look over.
Yeah.
And that'll include some information on, how to get started with T priority.
Absolutely. And
I,
to
I,
piggyback
yeah.
and to piggyback off of that, just if any, I'll put my email address on there as well. So if anybody really needs to, want to do a deeper dive, have the right conversations around that, please feel free to reach out to us and I'll be able to facilitate that conversation for us.
Okay, thank you. And I want to invite you also to consider, we have a conference in New Orleans at the end of the summer, and where all of our members will be actually gathering for 3 days of educational programming. You may want to consider having a presence at that conference and
I
talking.
would love some more information about
Yeah.
that. Please do.
I will send you information about that. Gentlemen, thank you again for the service that you're providing, for building this infrastructure, and for taking your time today to explain it to the rest of us in home care and hospice in Louisiana and Mississippi. I appreciate your time. If anyone on today's call has any final thoughts or questions before we call it. Hearing no questions or comments, we will meet
Jamie,
back. Go ahead.
I
Yeah,
couldn't get to the mute button fast enough.
go ahead.
Are you still sending the recordings? I didn't get the one from last week. Will you send one for today?
Yeah, I will. There will be a recording that we will be posting. Yes.
Okay. And
Okay.
then the thing for New Orleans, when is that?
The conference.
Yeah, you said there's a conference in New Orleans. When is that?
Yeah,
So
the conference. It's a hospice. The hospice conference is July 30th, 31st,
hospice.
and August 1st at the Higgins Hotel in New Orleans.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank
Appreciate
you
y'all's
again.
time.
Thank you
y'all so
again,
much.
and we look forward to we look forward to getting more and more hospices and home health on these priority networks. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank
Take care.
y'all.
Thank you.
Take care.